Jody Avirgan here. I'm glad you're enjoying 30 for 30 podcast, part of a special collection of sports audio documentaries from ESPN Films. We're finding the best sports stories for you right now. And to do that, we're behind the wheel of the Mini Countryman, the biggest mini yet.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
To find great sports stories, you have to get out into the world and follow your instincts. That's where the Mini Countryman's all-wheel drive comes in handy. With all four, we can chase down a story in the city, the country, and most places in between. Podcast equipment isn't very bulky, but even if we're hauling a lot of gear, there's plenty of cargo space for all your stuff. And if a few of our producers tag along, no problem. The Mini Countryman comfortably seats 5 adults. The Countryman may be big, but it still drives like a Mini thanks to the twin-power turbo engine. No matter what story you're chasing, the Mini Countryman will help you find it. It's available now, and so are 30 for 30 podcasts. Visit miniusa.com/countryman today.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, dog?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the Cool Check-In.
Together, we are Jalen Jacoby on ESPN2 and ESPN Radio. What do we do?
We get the people!
Yes.
What they want.
Jalen Rose, I'm very upset about something. You know how I don't get upset that much? This one really got me. You remember how after a couple lackluster All-Star games, the NBA said, we're going to switch it up. We're going to pick teams, pick up basketball style. We'll have 2 captains from each conference, and then they will just mix it all up. They'll pick whoever they want. It'll be like just like you do at the Y with the teams. You'll split them up. It'll be so much fun. We'll get to see who gets picked first, who gets picked second, who picks their teammates, who doesn't pick their teammates. I was so excited about this idea. It was just another way that the NBA was just advancing beyond other sports leagues by making things more entertaining and more fan-friendly. Well, guess what? The NBA sent out a memo, Jalen Rose. They're going to do the picks in private and not tell us the order in which the players were picked. What is happening? Why would they do that? I don't need to see an email that lists the teams. I want to see the captains pick the teams. Show the draft. 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 Should we keep going? You want us to keep going?
Show the draft.
Show the draft. Why isn't the NBA showing us the draft?
I don't understand. It would be awesome television, radio, podcast, footage to use online. So many storylines. Where would LeBron James draft Kyrie? Is Russell and KD going to play together?
I love this.
How
There's
many
so much.
Warriors are going to be on the same squad?
Here's another thing. Jalen, you're an ex-basketball player. You play in the NBA. Are you trying to tell me that you guys are so sensitive that it's going to hurt your little egos if you get picked last? You're an all-star. You're one of the best players on the planet. You've already been vaulted to the highest heights of the NBA annals. If you get picked last of the best players, is that really going to bother you? Would that bother you if you were an all-star?
Well, there's a difference between being picked first or second versus being picked 23rd or 24th. And that could hamper somebody's image, damage them a little bit, get them trolled on social media, whatnot. But for great theater, you can air the draft. Think about it like this. The way people was watching LeBron James' decision, we would be just as interested in seeing who got drafted where.
You know what, Jalen? I'm going to go on a limb. I would rather watch a televised all-star draft than a televised all-star game. Trust me, I've been a television producer for almost 20 years. This is going to be better than the basketball. Show the draft, NBA. I would rather watch the draft than the game. I don't know why this is happening. And here's one thing I know about the NBA. One thing I know about the league commissioner, Adam Silver. One thing I know about intelligent human beings as a whole. They admit when they're wrong, and they correct their wrongs. This is wrong. This is a bad decision. NBA players that are all-stars, they're one of the best 24 players, 25 players on the whole league. They can handle it if they get drafted last. They can handle it. And something tells me
and this
that
is
it's going to be okay.
One of the things I know about Adam Silver. It's not an absolute fact, but I think it's pretty close. that he loves Jalen Jacoby's
He
program.
watches Jalen Jacoby
He
every
watches
night.
this show.
Every night before
Every
bed.
night.
And when he wakes up early, so we're on ESPN News when he wakes up, he watches it again just to see if he missed something. You know what I mean? You know how some people watch Scarface 150 times? He watches every single Jalen Jacoby episode over and over and over. He texts me after each one. Notes on my outfits.
Just think about it like this. Joey and Molly don't watch the show, but Adam Silver does.
He does.
And I know he sees this. Commissioner, there are a couple of things that's going to change. Eventually, it's going to be 1 through 16 seeding in the NBA playoffs. That's going to take place.
Show the draft.
Show the draft. Show the draft. Show the
draft. The producer wants to move on. I don't want to move on. Show the draft. Tweet the NBA. Tweet the commissioner on his fake burner account. Whatever you got to do. Just show the draft, NBA. Get this right. Moving on the night of Kobe Bryant's jersey's retirement in the Staples Center rafters, they went on and played some basketball. It was a great game. Kevin Durant actually won the game. However, earlier in the game, he was the recipient of not one, but 2 poster dunks. This one from Nance was especially disrespectful. Jalen, you know how the game goes. You win the game, you hit the game-winning shot, but if you get dunked on twice, it might be more memorable. Which is more memorable long-term? Him getting dunked on twice or hitting the game-winning shot over a hyped rookie?
KD has been terrific with these 30, 35-point game, 10 assists, 10 rebound, multiple assist games, getting a couple of blocks. But I'm riding with you, Jacoby. He got put on the potty a couple of times. And those continue to run on loop. So I would say, however, the only thing that trumps that is hitting a game-winning shot on the road when you've been balling.
Did you just say put on the potty?
Yes.
That's one of the funniest things you've ever said. I'm going to keep saying that for the rest of my life. I steal so much from you. I'm stealing that one. So we're going to look at some leaders in the National Basketball Association. I always like to check in on these about once a month because they're pretty interesting. We've got some team leaders and some individual leaders. I want to start with the most important, and that is points. None of these names will blow you away. It's kind of what you expect. James Harden leading the league with 31.3 points. Giannis Antetokounmpo second with 29.8. Gets a little interesting here. LeBron James, in his 15th year in the league, is averaging 27.8 points. 27.8 points. And then you get KD and Steph Curry both at around 26 points. KD and Steph Curry are on the same team. I just want everybody to know that. The Golden State Warriors have 52 points just from KD and Steph. Before they even try their sneakers, they're expecting 52 points from them. Anything about those points leaders jump out to you?
No true surprises. I think the main thing that jumps out at me is that James Harden is the most unique offensive talent in the game. In a league that has LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook. There's a player that has led the league in total points and assists. Right now, James Harden is leading the league in points and assists. Russell Westbrook and he were flip-flopped last year. That's just outstanding. I hadn't heard of this since Tiny Archibald. For those two guys to be able to be that productive in so many facets, it's just phenomenal.
Well, you mentioned Russell, so we're going over to assists. I think Russell gets this reputation of being sort of a one-man band, a ball hog. He shoots it, he shoots too much.
A one-man
Army
ain't song. I never been tooken out. I keep MCs looking out.
Russell Westbrook leads the league with 9.8 assists a game. And this is where it gets interesting. Followed by LeBron James and James Harden, both getting over 9 assists a game. If you remember, LeBron James and James Harden are not just in the top 3 in assists, they're both also in the top 3 in points. That's how unique these individuals are. Top 3 points, top 3 assists, both LeBron and James Harden. After that, we have a rookie, Ben Simmons, averaging 7.9 assists, and then Draymond Green with 7.3 assists. I'm surprised about Ben Simmons. 7.9 assists for a rookie is pretty impressive, Jalen.
It's extremely impressive. He reminds me so much, and I said this on draft night, of Grant Hill. Watching that guy torch me in 13 under AAU with Reston, Virginia. We was hanging out all night in St. Louis, some Detroit kids. We just got our Patrick Ewing Adidas. We trying to be out on the strip. We trying to get it in. That doesn't mean we're going to win the game the next day, but this did take place. And in AAU, you know you've got to play multiple games in a day.
Yep.
So we played them at like 10, 11 in the morning. We took buses. We took vans there, buses, so our families weren't there. We get to the game. Their crowd was rocking. All of the mothers and fathers and everybody was at the game. They had warm-up suits, new shoes, fresh gear. We was like, we about to kill them. Man, we couldn't get the ball across half court. They thumped us. And then obviously losing to him, 3-4 times in college, including the championship, getting drafted in the same class, and coincidentally him playing for my hometown team. Ben Simmons reminds me so much of Grant Hill. That these guys are so athletic that you can't stop them from getting to their launching point or getting to the hole regardless of the angle you play defensively. Really good playmakers, making guys around them better without a three-point shot. How many three-point? That's the outstanding stat of the year. The guy you just mentioned is going to be Rookie of the Year, shoot 0% from three in 2018.
I think he's taken like 3 or something. They're all half-court shots. Like, he hasn't even taken them. This is interesting. Field goal percentage. Clint Capella is almost shooting 70% from the floor. He's shooting 69.4%. Clint Capella is almost shooting 70% from the floor, and he takes shots, too. He was 10 for 12 last night in a comeback win against the Jazz. Clint Capella has just been so impressive this year. I think that's one of the main reasons for the Rockets' success. Following him is DeAndre Jordan, Steven Adams, Enes Kanter, John Collins. But what you would expect. But let's go over quickly to rebounds. I know that's something that Jalen likes to take a note of, is bigs that both rebound and block shots. Number 1, Detroit basketball's own Andre Drummond with almost 15 rebounds a game. DeAndre Jordan. Then you got Dwight Howard pulling in 12.6. Have you been impressed, disappointed, or just kind of that's what I expected from Dwight Howard's year in Charlotte?
Some guys don't flourish on the largest stage when the spotlight is so bright that you don't even need light. And Dwight Howard, when he was in Orlando, he flourished. Played under Stan Van Gundy. Made it to the finals. Was one of the more popular players in the game. Perennial all-star, winning dunk contest. Star kind of faded when he went to L.A.
Yep.
Dimmed a little more when he went to Houston. Reputation-wise also. Man,
lights turned off.
You can't make it work with Kobe.
Lights turned off when he got to Atlanta last year.
You can't make it work with James Harden. And then he goes to Atlanta. They went from being a 60-win team to having to rebuild, thinking that they was going to do that around the hometown kid. So now for him to be in Charlotte, again, back playing with activity, grabbing boards, been a better free throw shooter the past 4 or 5 weeks. It's been really impressive. What I expect out of him, a guy currently in the game, like Carmelo Anthony, like Chris Paul, like LeBron James, Vince Carter, Dwayne Wade. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt more alive.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applauds your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious, delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Right now, Mr. Rose, we're going to take a look at the NFL standings, because the AFC just got a little more interesting. All right? We've got the Patriots and the Steelers, both at 11-3, both going into the playoffs. Also, the surprising Jacksonville Jaguars at 10-4. If I would have told you that the Jacksonville Jaguars are one win behind the New England Patriots right now, you wouldn't even believe it. Especially, and I told you, no, they didn't sign Kaepernick. They still have Blake Bortles. You'd be shocked, right? Has Blake Bortles secretly been the story of the season in the NFL?
Their defense is a terrific story, the one that defines that team. However, Blake Bortles, in particular against Seattle, played the kind of football that even his detractors had to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I appreciate about this year's NFL season, though.
What's up?
It's happened in a different way in the NBA. When there's a renaissance of the popular teams that are storied franchises, like in basketball, the Knicks have Porzingis. The Lakers have Ingram and Kuzma and Larry Nance dunking on people and obviously Ball. In Philly, they have Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Original programs that are storied in league annals. But when you look down at the standings, they're not contending teams. Some of them are not even playoff teams.
No.
But they're going to dominate the headlines and the conversation.
Quick sidebar. The Sixers have lost 8 of 11 games. They're outside of the playoffs. Yet everyone just celebrates how great Joel Embiid is on social and how Ben Simmons is leading the league and, top 5 in assists and what the future is so bright and trust the process and this and that. It's like, you know what? I thought this was the year that this was the expectations year. Brett Brown was on wax being like, we expect to make the playoffs this year. And it looked so fun when they were pushing the Warriors, when they're pushing these big teams. But then you look down and you're like, wait a second. They haven't really won basketball games recently. They're fun to watch, and I like to follow Joel Embiid on social media, but they need to start winning basketball games because this process has not been playing out the way that I trusted it would play out if I'm a Philly fan.
And so you flip it in football, when you look at the top-tier teams, nobody can say that we would come into the season as national media and talk a lot about the Rams. Or the Jaguars, or the Vikings, or the way the Eagles was running away with the NFC, having the best record in the league before they got injured, and how the Chargers lost 4 straight to start the year, and they've come on. But we still are going to find a way to what? Talk about the Cowboys.
The Cowboys could still make the playoffs. If the Cowboys win out and this team loses and that team loses, then the Cowboys are in the playoffs. The Cowboys, it's over, guys. This isn't the Cowboys' year. It ain't happening. And if y'all make the playoffs, here's what you're going to do. Lose the first game. Zeke Elliott's back, so they could win 2 games and be 10-6. They could sneak into a wild card position with help from these other teams. It ain't happening. It's not happening.
And also, I love Aaron Rodgers just like everybody else. He's broken my heart with Hail Marys against my Lions. He's in my division. And I got love for him away from the sport.
Shout out.
All-time great player, probably the second best player in the NFL. Guess what, everybody? They won't be in the playoffs.
Nope. Mathematically eliminated.
Yep.
And like we said on this program, with him in the game, they were going to lose to Carolina. And then he wouldn't play again this year.
As we mentioned earlier, but Jalen, something you mentioned earlier, the Detroit Lions were going to win the NFC North. You pretty much guaranteed that. You said you've never predicted that before in the history of being a Lions fan. And I couldn't help but notice that the Minnesota Vikings have already clinched the NFC North. So the Lions are not going to win the NFC North. How do you feel about that as a Lions fan?
What's our record?
8-6. It could happen.
Okay.
It could happen.
If we're 10-6, I feel great.
What if you're 10-6 and you don't make the playoffs?
If we get 10 wins, we're going to get in. It'll work itself out.
What if you go 9-9 and you don't make the playoffs? You still happy with your Lions this season?
If we go 9-7?
9-7, yeah, that's right.
I wouldn't be happy. I think we should win 10 games this year.
I would like to see the Lions win. You guys play the Packers in that last game. Do you know who you play next week? I don't have it in front of me.
I don't.
I'm sorry to ask you a follow-up question. That was my bad.
But like I told you, we was going to beat Green Bay if they were to win the first 2 games, which both of us said they weren't, even though Aaron Rodgers was playing. Oh, and by the way, Carolina's been balling too.
Let's talk about the NFC South. The Saints and the Panthers and the Falcons are all in that division. I could honestly see any one of those teams in the Super Bowl. And I'm not kidding. I wouldn't be shocked if any one of those 3 teams ended up in the Super Bowl. And I wouldn't be shocked if all 3 of those teams ended up making the playoffs. That's probably the best division in football, top to bottom.
I got this from the OG Deion Sanders.
Shout out.
What's that?
Most teams don't have the offensive arsenal of the Atlanta Falcons.
Facts.
What's one of the worst offensive teams in the NFL?
Oh, one of the worst? I'd say the Jets and Giants come to mind. The Browns come to mind.
Correct. So those type of teams, in particular Cleveland, they couldn't get arrested at the airport with those weapons. Steve Sarkisian should not be able to walk the streets, should not be able to talk about football. If you can't get Julio Jones the ball, it's like seriously?
He's
he's almost non-existent. It's in the red zone of all places. I love Coleman. I love Freeman. By the way, I learned something. This is why I always pay attention, even when I'm not on wax. Freeman, devout man of faith, just became one of my favorite players, though he was already. Yep. They have Sanu and so many players. Matt Ryan was MVP last year. And y'all can't consistently get the ball to Julio. If that doesn't change, they won't be like the team that looks like it could possibly go back to the Super Bowl in the NFC. It ain't happening if they don't unlock Julio.
Very quickly, Jalen Rose, I'm going to name 3 teams that are 8-6 in the AFC. You tell me which one's going to make the playoffs. They're all pretty trash.
All right.
Bills, Ravens,
right.
Titans.
So, here's a perfect example. John Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in football. Mm-hmm. I don't care about their record. I don't care about anything that somebody else has accomplished. I look at him each year and be like, man, he get the most out of his squad. I say this every year. Who's their tailback, Jacoby, at this point in the season?
I don't even know.
You probably can't name him because they've used 10 of them.
I don't even know. Who do you think is going to go make the playoffs?
How well he continues to do with his team. But for those 3 teams, Titans and Mariota, I'm saying Buffalo and Shady McCoy.
Wow.
Because I like the way he be doing the Earl Flynn when he scored.
Wow. I think it's going to be the Titans. If you watch this show or listen to the podcast, you always get it first. It's time for Broken News.
To everyone else, it's breaking news.
If you watched the show last week, everyone was talking about how Aaron Rodgers was going to come back and the Packers were going to, clean the table and they were going to win their last 3 games and make the playoffs. Here on Jalen Jacoby, we looked you right in the eye and told you this is not going to go well. They're going to lose to the Panthers. Aaron Rodgers is going to get hit a lot. And then they're going to lose to the Panthers. And then they're going to put Aaron Rodgers back on the shelf. Well, guess what they did, Mr. Rose? You'll never believe it.
What did they do?
Exactly that. Aaron Rodgers was throwing interception after terrible interception, didn't look great, was being pressured by the Panthers on almost every drop back, and now the Packers have announced that he is back on the IR and he will not play the rest of the season. If only the Packers watched Jalen and Jacoby late at night on ESPN2, they would have avoided all of this. Moving on. Marshall Mathers has a new album out that I've listened to and that I've thoroughly enjoyed, and he's doing some interviews for it. He did an interview with Vulture magazine. They asked about his post-divorce dating life, and he told them that he has been meeting women at strip clubs. That's where he meets women. And that he has also turned to Tinder, the popular dating app, which led to me asking you, Jalen Rose, which is a better place to meet women, Tinder or strip clubs?
What? In person is normally the choice. So based on the question, I would have to say the strip club, except online you go www and then it's international. You have more options. So I probably have to go with the internet.
Okay, moving on. If you're in the tri-state area and you want to have a bar or bat mitzvah for your son or daughter, you can now hire Kyle O'Quinn of the New York Knicks. Kyle O'Quinn of the New York Knicks makes $4 million a year, but he's got a side hustle where you can hire him to go to bar mitzvahs or bat mitzvahs, and he has a great time. And he said, trust me, these people know how to party. Jalen Rose, have you ever gone to a bar mitzvah in your life?
I have never gone to a bar mitzvah. No. I've never been invited to one, which I'm disturbed. This should still happen. Somebody should invite me. But more importantly, Kyle O'Quinn, keep getting them checks.
Keep getting them checks.
This is a hustle.
I respect side hustles in all forms. You just never have enough money. You know what? The playing career won't last forever, but you can always entertain young children at a bar bat mitzvah. Shout out to you, Kyle O'Quinn. Moving on. There's employees at a TCBY in Matthews, North Carolina. They're getting boxes. They get frozen yogurt boxes and, cups and stuff. And they're just opening up cardboard boxes. They open up a cardboard box at their place of employment. Inside, they find 5 pounds of medicinal. Jalen Rose, take me through the thought process. You're working at a TCBY. You open up the box. You see 5 pounds of medicinal. What goes through your head?
First and foremost, I'm not going to do the obvious and quit my job. That's the dummy move. But what I am going to do is I'm going to turn these lemons into lemonade.
What do you mean by that, Mr. Rose? I love that you said you weren't going to quit your job. And normally it's no, I'm not going to quit my job because that's not a life-changing amount of money and I always want to have a job. It's good for my routine. But really you're like, I don't want to quit my job. There could be another box next week. Who knows? The TCBY or whatever, they're fighting to open up boxes. They do not want to be in the floor. They're like, I'll work the stock room today. I'll work the stock room every single day. I'll work the stock room. They're fighting to be the one to open up those boxes in Matthews, North Carolina. Moving on. A gentleman, I believe in the Atlanta area, I'm not positive about this, and a lady were on a first date. And they enjoyed each other's company, so much so that they engaged in coitus. And they had an evening together where they just really enjoyed each other's company, so much so that the gentleman in this situation got a thank you card, like the kind you buy, and opens up with an envelope. Inside the thank you card was just a respectful thank you, showing gratitude, and also a $10 gift card to Chick-fil-A. Jalen, the $10 gift card thank you after a night of coitus, is that a gentlemanly gesture that should be celebrated, or is that just straight up disrespect?
That's disrespect. Yep. I love Chick-fil-A just like anyone else, and I know it originated in the South, and it's a staple down there. But if you really want to step your game up and you had a terrific night, you have to give something from Waffle House.
You gotta go Waffle House there. And you gotta go bigger than $10. You know what I mean? Like you can get a meal, but you can't get a meal for you and a friend. But definitely agree. Chick-fil-A, no. Waffle House, yes. Do you know what Bitcoin is? Do you understand Bitcoin? I don't really understand Bitcoin. Can you explain the plot to Bitcoin?
No, sir. It just really sounds like a society we've totally dismissed what change used to be. Now you go into the store and somebody gives you change. You're looking at your hand like, what am I supposed to do with this? So Bitcoin celebrates that. Like I'm going to celebrate the Harriet Tubman 20s if they ever hit circulation. It's all about how the coin can change your day.
Okay. Thank you for explaining the plot to Bitcoin. I'm not sure that was accurate, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. But it did remind me of something that's very life-changing, something that I want everybody under 30 to pay attention to right now. It's called Coinstar.
What's that?
Are you familiar with Coinstar, Jalen Rose? Yep. You know about Coinstar?
I am familiar with Coinstar, and I do understand that we will one day live in a society where you're not exchanging dollar bills when you make purchases.
But that would be a shame because I can't tell you how many times I was in Brooklyn and I remember the exact Coinstar they had on Myrtle. I had to walk pretty far to get there. And once I got there with my big bag full of coins, all heavy, and you pour them all out there and you shift them through and you put all your coins into Coinstar and it takes a long time and the Coinstar machine always gets jammed and you have to call somebody over. You think it's not going to happen for you that day. And then at the end, for anyone who doesn't understand Coinstar, this is how it works. You put in all your change, it counts all your change, and it takes a piece. It takes like 3% or something. And then you get this ticket. and you've been saving coins for a long time, and they print out this little receipt, and on that receipt is a dollar figure. Sometimes it's like $86.35. You go to the register, you hand them that ticket. Do you know what they hand back to you, Jalen Rose? $86.35. This saved some weekends for me when I was on the come up. This saved some weekends for me. All of a sudden, $100. So when you talk about coinless societies, just remember, don't just keep those coins. Keep them all in one place, and then one day you can save a weekend with Coinstar.
You live in the suburbs now. You can just take that to the supermarket. They have the big machines that'll do it.
That's what Coinstar is, Jalen, the big machine in the supermarket. Do you listen to me when I talk at all?
I just heard everything that you said, of course. But you said the whole story about, you had to walk 5 miles in your Timberland boots in the middle of winter.
I wasn't in the suburbs.
You ran backwards.
I wasn't in the suburbs.
You had to walk there backwards because the wind was blowing so hard in your face to get my $86. I used to take bottles to the store.
I have a story about that, too.
Get the 10 cents on each.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
The Rockets just keep on winning. Last night, they were down big in the fourth quarter, but then went on a tear. Eric Gordon scored 17 points in the fourth. They dominated the Jazz in the fourth quarter for their 14th straight win. They are now 15-0. Win. Chris Paul puts on a uniform. Clint Capella was 10 for 12 from the floor. It really looks like everything is clicking for the Rockets while the Warriors have a lot of injury problems. Is it time to now consider the Rockets the favorite in the Western Conference?
I talked about this probably a month ago on NBA Countdown, and I brought people behind the curtain to look at a Houston Rockets team that the last couple of seasons has been amongst the best, led by James Harden in the Western Conference. You add Chris Paul, Bamute, Tucker, the continued improvement of Capella, to go with Trevor Ariza. Now you can compete defensively and win games as well. They had to knock down shooters. I've said this for years. When you watch Eric Gordon, when you watch Ryan Anderson, they're not just standing at the three-point line like I did in launching. They're 2 or 3 feet behind the line. They were amongst the league leaders in shots that were like 25 feet last year. So they're giving mad space to terrific creators and ball handlers like Chris Paul and James Harden. It's been terrific basketball to watch. And yes, people should understand they legitimately now have a team that can play both ends of the floor. That would not surprise me if I'm looking up and it's a game 7 and we're in Houston trying to figure out if the injuries to Draymond Green and Steph Curry during the regular season come back to haunt a team that's on a 9-game win streak. That lets you know how well the Houston Rockets have been playing.
The Houston Rockets have been so well, and I think a lot of attention, and rightfully so, should be paid to the addition of Chris Paul. He literally has not lost a game in that uniform. But one addition they have is really just the improvement of Clint Capella. Clint Capella has been so good protecting the rim, so good rolling to the basket, so good catching lobs. The evolving of Clint Capella is really one of the things that is fueling this Rockets team into the stratosphere. Moving on to a couple teams that are playing a little bit less than expectations. The Blazers and the Timberwolves faced off. The Blazers had a big lead in the fourth quarter that they blew. Dame Lillard was mad after the game. And you know what did not calm him down? He was reportedly called some anti-gay slurs by some fans outside where the visiting team bus was driving off. I have a lot of questions about this. First, you saw he had his food in his hand, so he must have gone into the bus and then come back out to confront those fans. But most importantly, Dame, it's Minnesota. Where is your jacket? Why are you wearing a T-shirt? Why are you wearing a T-shirt in the freezing cold in Minnesota, Dame? That's my mom would not stand for that. She would say that you're going to get sick, Dame Lillard. Jalen, what do you think about this incident outside?
Well, first and foremost, the individuals that were harassing Dame Dollar need to be disciplined by the league. Just because you purchase a ticket to a game doesn't give you the license to disrespect me and or call me out of my name, especially in the context of if I wasn't wearing that uniform, and I bet if they were all walking down the street, they wouldn't approach the Oakland native that way. So don't do it then, number one. Number two, now I want to laugh a little bit. Dame, I know for a fact you wasn't holding your food. I know that for a fact. Seriously? What if them cats really would have wanted it? You know what I'm saying?
It looked like some Chinese leftover. He'll throw some lo mein at somebody. That's just how he opens up. He's also got a Gatorade and a water. How does food work out? Take us behind the curtain, Jalen. Where did he get the food from? Does someone go get him the food?
So in the league, Mark Cuban was one of the first owners that after the game would cater food to the visiting locker room as well as his own team. Usually teams that practice and or play in the same facility and or have a chef and or a kitchen, which most teams now have. That's inherent, especially if you have a young team. You want them eating right and being in the building constantly. For example, like you saw with Philadelphia when ESPN did their All Access. And so when you're traveling, however, sometimes teams don't do that for the road team. So either you can order something from a restaurant in that city. That's what we used to do, find a favorite restaurant and have them cater. Go get food from where the media eats, normally pregame and or halftime. But Dame looked like he got some catered road food. But either way, the Gatorades are there. The waters are there. When I first came into the league, it was more beer in the cooler than both of those put together.
Ooh.
But with that being said, now, Dame, you leave the bus, and I'm glad you got a chance to confront those cats. But you can't do it with the water and Gatorade in your hand.
You got to put a jacket on, Dave. It's cold out there in Minnesota, man. Come on, you got to put a jacket on. If you went onto the bus to put the food down, grab a jacket and then go outside and yell at somebody. Jalen Rose, very quick. You are the senior statue analyst, not just of ESPN, but of the entire globe. Kobe Bryant was immortalized by his 2 jerseys going into the rafters at Staples Center, which naturally brings us to the next step. When does Kobe get the statue? You can't do it like this week because we just had Big Kobe night. Do we wait till next season? Do we wait a few years? How does it work, senior statue analyst?
Here's how this should play out. First off, I'm disappointed in the Lakers because if you really want to give the people what they want, you retire Kobe's 24, you retire the number 8, and then you allow me to retire 81 and put Rose in the rafters.
They should have put 81.
Then I'm hanging next to Kareem and Magic and Wilt. Then I would be in their class.
Doesn't it feel like 81 deserves a banner or something? It deserves something. Guys scored 81 points.
No doubt. No question. That's first and foremost. Next, it's going to take a couple of years.
Yeah, it'll be a couple seasons.
You allow the team to at least be a playoff team, so it's a big game, not a game in December where when overtime is about to come, he grabs the wife and kids like, we out of here.
Yeah, we're good. We got to get home.
Got to put the kids to bed.
Right now, we're going to open up our 1-800-FLOWERS Twitter feed. You can send in questions to @Jalen and Jacoby. We get lots of great questions. This one is very important to me. It's from Burning Rob. Burning Rob says, what type of hot sauce does Jalen prefer on pulled pork barbecue? Oh, that looks like you're struggling.
Burning Rob is asking a lot of questions about things that are hot. And I was trying to draw back to a record that talked a lot about that back in the day. Was it Kool Moe Dee? Was it, Anyway.
Jalen?
I digress.
What type of hot sauce do you like on pulled pork barbecue?
Truly, I'm not sure. I eat all of it. I eat barbecue sauce. I eat honey sauce.
Well, guess
I
what?
eat a plain.
I've got a personal story about this. My dad lives in Cambridge, Massachusetts. like a lot of people with divorced parents, you end up spending every other weekend with the dad or whatever. So we would go to Cambridge, Massachusetts a lot. One thing that we would always do is walk to Jake and Earl's Barbecue, R.I.P. Jake and Earl's, and we would get pulled pork sandwiches. These are some of the best sandwiches I've ever had in my whole entire life. And when we got home, my dad, who mailed me a bottle of this recently, it is now in my fridge. It is the greatest hot sauce on the planet. It's called Inner Beauty Hot Sauce. Google it. Find it. It's got a Caribbean flavor. It's made with Scotch bonnet pepper. This is not like Tabasco sauce. This is not like Tomatillo. This is not like Louisiana hot sauce. This is like no other hot sauce you've ever seen. It's yellow. It's thick. It's viscous. It comes from the Scotch bonnet pepper. I cannot co-sign this hot sauce any more than I do. And we would specifically use it on pulled pork barbecue sandwiches from Jake and Earl's. Inner Beauty Hot Sauce has a flavor like no other hot sauce. I use it on eggs. I use it on everything. It is so fantastic and rare that it disappeared for like a decade. And then it came back and resurfaced. And one day I came home and my dad had sent me a bottle of Inner Beauty hot sauce. And now my son calls it Daddy's Special Hot Sauce. But if you get this hot sauce, I'm going to tell you right now, don't tweet me and complain. It's hot. This is hot sauce. God, I love that hot sauce so much. Thank you for the question, Burning Rob.
I want to check that out.
Next, soft move or boss move. Writing funny things on the walls of a bathroom stall at work. Come on, James. Come on, James.
That's immature. That's cheesy.
James.
That's corny. That's juvenile.
James. Come on, James. You're better than that, James.
Those are the first words that come to mind.
Come on, James. Please. Next question is from Bibbs. Soft move or body move? I think he meant boss move. Christmas engagements.
Getting engaged, committing to your significant other any time of the year, 24/7, 365. Not here to judge. Boss move.
Sure, yeah. I like that way you went there. You know I wanted to go negative, right? You know I want to go negative, right? Christmas is for Christmas.
Look at it like this. Correct.
No,
but
dude, this
again,
is...
if it's a special day to you.
No, you got to buy, if I'm a lady, you got to buy me a Christmas present and a wedding ring. You can't just double down. You know what I mean? You can't go two birds, one stone
you're such
here.
Such a gold digger.
You got to get a Christmas present for me and a wedding ring just like everybody else gets. You can't just give me a Christmas present that is a wedding ring. Come on now.
I hope I never see you with any high heels on. You're such a diva.
I hope I do see me with some high heels on. You want? Can I make an announcement right here on the program, Jalen Rose?
Sure.
This week, we spoke about Christmas eyebrows last week, and it's basically people making their eyebrows look like wreaths with lights and green and stuff. I will be getting Christmas eyebrows this week on the program. It is going to happen.
All right, I ain't mad at it. I can't wait to see it.
And my producer, Harlan, one of the greatest producers in all of television, said to me, which segment do you want the Christmas eyebrows for? And I said,
the whole show.
The whole show. I'm not doing a Christmas eyebrow segment
take them off.
And then taking them off. I'm going to wear them home that night.
Correct.
Maybe, I might not wear them out. I might not wear them home that night. Depends on how they look.
You got to let the kids see them at least.
The kids will lose their mind. I'm excited for Christmas eyebrows. Next, this is from Scuba. Scuba says, Jacoby, my wife doesn't like minivans. How do I convince her to get a minivan? She only likes SUVs. I understand this. We've dealt with this. Not every person is a minivan person. Not every person has the strength to look in the mirror and say, I want a practical vehicle, not a cool-looking vehicle. I want a vehicle that is built for families, that is built for function, that is not just built for fun. I'm not going to get a vehicle where I'm going to pull up in front of the club and toss my keys to the valet and strut away from the driver's side with pride. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a vehicle where I push the button on the keys and the side doors slide open and reveal the multitude of car seats and the crumbs all over the floor and the weird stains everywhere. That's what a vehicle that I'm going to drive. And that is a member of the minivan mafia. Mr. Rose?
I'm rolling with his significant other.
What?
I ain't trying to rock a minivan either. That's your thing. That's not my thing. You're the capo of the minivan mafia, not me.
Okay.
I never said I was going to be in the passenger seat of that mafia.
You are.
I'm going to be in the car behind you.
You are 2 accidents away from needing a minivan, Mr. Rose. You are just 2 mistakes away from absolutely needing a minivan. Okay, just keeping that in mind. I like Mr.
what you
Rose.
did there.
Ladies, don't forget tomorrow's Woman Crush Wednesday. We need you.
Hey, ladies,
to call up 985-80-JALEN and leave us voicemails. You leave us voicemails, ladies. We'll play them tomorrow on the show, just like this.
What up, Jalen Jacoby? This is Nolan calling from Seattle. Just got a quick question for you guys. Is caroling cultural? Happy holidays. Have a good week. Peace.
Oh, for sure. I don't even have to think about that. That is so cultural. I'm going to ask Jalen, do you even know what caroling is?
I want to say this respectfully. Is this when individuals that don't look like me gather in packs of 7 to 10 and they go from door to door with Christmas outfits on?
That's exactly
carrying
what it is.
nativity sets.
That's exactly what this is. I've never seen this happen in real life. Like, has this ever happened in real life?
I've seen this on a movie before.
Yeah, has anyone actually caroled? Like, is this really happening in some suburban town? Just like some homies getting together, be like, all right, we're going to meet at 6:30. First, we're going to take out a set list, a printout, and be like, all right, first it's going to be Hark the Herald, and then we're going to transition into Jingle Bells just to keep the energy up, and then we're going to go over to when we get to the Joneses' house. Remember, every year we have to do Rudolph for the Joneses. Their kid loves Rudolph. We're going to crush this, and then around 7:30 we're going to go home. Okay, meet there at 6:30 on the corner of Stephen Street. Like, who does that? I've never seen a caroler.
Who does that?
I've never seen
Please
a caroler.
Let us know. I've never seen this. I've seen it only on television and in movies.
Do you knock on the door first, or you just start singing at the house? How does it work?
Well, that's why it's cultural, because this time of year you can't be knocking on certain doors. You're trying to look through the mirror, trying to look at my presence. You might catch a hot one.
It's cold out too. Like, I'm not doing that, and I don't even like to sing. Jalen doesn't like to sing. All he has to do is sing 4 words every day, and he complains about it. I know you're not walking around the neighborhood. Thank you so much for the call, Nolan. Caroling is definitely cultural. If anyone sees a caroler out there, please take pictures of this caroling group, because I don't really believe that happens in real life. I might just be living in New York and Los Angeles too long.
At Jalen and Jacoby, at either one of us, we need to see if this actually is taking place.
This might be regional, too. It might be cultural and regional. Like, I can't imagine somebody in an urban environment doing this. Thank you so much for the call. Don't forget, you call 985-80-JALEN. You can leave us a voicemail, and we'll play it on the show just like this.
What's up, Jalen and Jacoby? It's Zach from College Station. Shout out Reg. Soft move or boss move? Kobe Bryant leaving early on his jersey retirement night. Let me know. Love the show. Love the pod. At work right now. Appreciate you guys. But I got to know. Soft move or boss move?
First off, the great thing about being Kobe Bryant, the first individual in the history of the NBA to have 2 numbers retired by the same team, is my night. I get the Mamba out. I get the speech. All of these all-time greats are here. I saw Kareem. I saw Russell. I saw legends there to salute the Mamba. Well-deserved for an elite, one of the all-time great players. But you know what else I also saw? A man that's happily married with 3 kids. Mm-hmm. And at some point in the night, the kids been away from the house too much. People screaming my name. We taking a lot of pictures. We signing a lot of autographs. I've been retired almost a year. They're not used to that anymore.
And he got a brand new baby. That baby's like, how old's his youngest daughter? Like 2, 1.5? You got to put that baby to bed.
Yes.
You're not getting home till 11. You can't put a baby to bed at 11 p.m. Next thing you know, they're waking up late, missing the whole schedule. And here's another thing. As a guy with 3 kids and a wife, you can do whatever you want. You can not go anywhere you want. You can stay as long as you want, use an excuse. You can leave early and use it as an excuse. You can basically pick and choose when and where you have to be and when and where you're going to leave that place, because you can always say, I've got a wife and 3 kids, I got to go. And that's what he did. It's a boss move.
And also, at that point, you got to beat traffic. You got to get away from the hype.
Mm-hmm.
So you dip out of there, you go jump in the helicopter, you beat all of the traffic. Mamba out.
Here's the thing.
Congratulations.
Question for you, Jalen Rose. Should Phil Jackson have been there?
No.
Oh, he should have been there. What do you think? Is the genie bus keeping him away?
There you go. You got to understand something. They're not a couple anymore.
Nope. No.
So you thinking about it like that. She the owner of the team. So just like he not going over to her house, he ain't coming to the Staples Center.
You know he got the invite. I think he lives in where's he, Montana right now or something? He lives in some beautiful, secluded countryside, just counting all of his James Dolan money.
Yeah, I hear he's somewhere enjoying hippie lettuce.
Yeah, he's enjoying that. Good for him. But he was like, wait, you want me to get in a plane?
He earned it.
You want me to drive 2.5 hours to the airport, wait 2.5 hours to get in a plane that's going to take me 3 hours to go to my ex-girlfriend's venue where she's giving a speech so I can show love to Kobe Bryant? That's good. I'll text him. I'll text him. Oh,
he
by the
knows
way,
love.
And you want me to celebrate the franchise that was going to hire me to pay me millions of dollars to do what I love, and then just decided to hire Mike D'Antoni at the last second, didn't even tell me, and then announced it right before midnight? No, I'm good.
No question. And I'll just text him because he knows that he played 20 years, and of those 20 years, when I wasn't a coach, no championships.
Do you think, here's a good question.
But when I'm standing on the sideline, he got 5.
Do you think Phil Jackson, 1, stayed up for the whole ceremony, 2, intended to stay up for the ceremony, but hippie lettuce got him and he fell asleep on the couch, or 3, didn't even bother with the whole thing?
Didn't even bother with the whole thing.
Didn't even watch it. He's like, Steph's not playing, Draymond's not playing, I'm good. I'll be fine. Thank you so much for the call.
See, what has happened to his name has really shaped the narrative of how people view him now. Don't get it twisted, everybody. Phil Jackson, arguably the greatest modern-day coach of all time. Don't get it twisted. I'll take Pat Riley. I'll take Coach Pop. But, man, 11 championship rings, Phil Jackson, all-time great.
Would you say Phil Jackson, better coach, better body of work than Bill Belichick?
Of course, he got 2 times more rings.
I'm saying no. I'm saying no on that one. And here's my reasoning. Football, the coach influences the win or loss more so than other sports. I think coaching is more influential to the actual wins or losses in football than any other sport. Any other sport in the world. So for that reason alone, I'm going to give it to Belichick because Phil Jackson did have some very good and talented basketball players that handled a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of getting them the championships.
Absolutely. And Belichick only has, let me see, was Brandon Cooks? He was the number 1 receiver in New Orleans. How good is Gronk? Oh, yeah, he's arguably the best tight end in the league.
Or ever.
What about Tom Brady? He's probably the greatest quarterback of all time. Like, people kill me acting like the Patriots don't have talent. That's where the greatness of Bill Belichick actually comes in, David, because he makes players play above what people thought they would initially be able to do. No players leave there and get better. They probably get more money, but they don't get better. That's number 1. 2, this has to be said for the sake of fairness. Not throwing shade, but I have to come up with a couple of facts. Bill Belichick did cheat.
What?
And get away with it.
What are you talking about? Bill Belichick didn't cheat. Those are some rogue assistants. Rogue assistants, Jalen Rose. Rogue assistants. 2 words for you. 1, rogue. 2, assistants.
Eric Mangini was on his coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
He went on to be a head football coach.
Sounds like a rogue assistant to me.
He acknowledged that they were taping teams' practices unknowingly and then going back and watch the footage, in particular against the Rams in the Super Bowl.
Rogue assistants were taping teams' practices. Rogue assistants.
And Bill Belichick wasn't like the adult and it was child porn on the computer and says, no, I don't want to see it. He was right there like, yeah, let me check it out.
Rogue
so that's number 1.
Assistants.
Number 2, my guy who's on the no slander list, Tom Brady. they did deflate footballs.
Unbeknownst to Tom Brady. No way Tom knew about that. You think Tom Brady had influence over whether or not they deflated those footballs, Jalen? You crazy?
When people have nothing to hide and somebody says, let me see your phone, guess what they do? You can check it out. I don't want to get suspended 4 games. I don't want to do that. Brady phone disappeared in Pacific Ocean.
Well.
So I, again, am not going to denounce their greatness, but you can't ignore the fact that they got 2 cheating scandals that they were punished for both.
Don't forget, if you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us voicemails. Ladies.
Hey, ladies.
Tomorrow we're doing at least one segment of all female voicemails. So, ladies, make sure you leave us a voicemail at 985-80-JALEN. Right now, we'll be listening to your voicemails just like this.
Yo, what up, Jalen Jacoby? This is Joe from Worcester. I just wanted to call and say I love Women Crush Wednesday, man. The voicemails are on point. And have you noticed that when you do Women Crush Wednesday, you get a lot less medicinal calls? I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but do you see a correlation between the gender of your audience and the likelihood that they're on medicinal? Also, just want to point out, when Jalen got the Uber call live on the pod, that was absolutely hilarious. I don't know if that was on TV or just on the pod, but that was one of the funniest moments in J&J in recent history. Love you guys. Shout out, Reg. Put me on the show. Peace.
Okay. First of all, I like Joe in Worcester because he didn't even ask a question. You know what I mean? He just had positivity to share. He did ask one question. Have we noticed that we get less medicinal callers on Woman Crush Wednesday? I had not noticed that, but it certainly is a fact. It certainly is a fact. Shout out to Joe in Worcester.
And also, that's why we, as Jacoby says, the kinder, gentler, more disciplined individuals that we love to support and represent on a Wednesday. It should be 7 days a week, but we try to play our small role in doing it on Wednesdays. So maybe we just class it up on a Wednesday and it's less medicinal. I don't know.
Maybe that's what it is.
Ladies, tell us. Ladies, tell us.
Let's listen to another voicemail.
Jalen and Jacoby, what up, though? This is David from Canton. Shout out to Reg. Gotta get me on, Reg. Not only is it my birthday, but I think I forgot on my previous message to shout my own name out. And I know how you guys don't like it when we don't say our name, so I want to make sure I get it in there. Shout out to Barron. Shout out to the staff and the crew of Jalen and Jacoby. Shout out to my buddy E.B., who always listens. And shout out to my girl E, who surprised me on my birthday with an awesome surprise party. Power couples, gotta respect them. So here's my question. Yesterday was my birthday, and I had a bunch of awesome surprises. As a teacher, I had a snow day, awesome surprise to get on your birthday, had a surprise party. Everything was awesome. So Jalen, Jacoby, my favorite sport, basketball, and I know it's yours as well. What is the biggest surprise so far this season in the NBA? And I know we've talked about it a lot. It's with maybe Drummond and his virtual reality free throws, the Celtics being so good even without Gordon Hayward. Could it be Markelle Fultz injured and not knowing if he's really, truly one of the best overall number 1 picks? Maybe not as good as my Anthony Bennett of the Cavs, but to you, what has been the biggest surprise this NBA season? Seriously, love the show. Listen to it, something to look forward to every morning. And Jalen, you got to give the people what they want. Thanks, guys. Peace.
Shout out to David in Canton.
Representing Canton, no doubt about it. You know what I love about our program?
What's that?
Is over these 6 years, our audience has gotten more sophisticated, more intelligent.
Yeah.
More paying attention to detail and knowing people's names, and like, it's family now. It's like you said when I first started this program, and you were like, Joey never watches the show. And that's when Molly was watching the show. Now she never watched the show
now. She doesn't watch it
now.
anymore either. Yeah. It's just a given. We got to do something new in 2018 to get people back on board. I got to get Joey watching the show again. But David did a great thing there. He was talking about his surprise party. He gave his boy a shout-out, gave his girl a shout-out who threw him a surprise party. and then use the surprise theme to launch into his question. So first, let's address his direct question, which is, what are the biggest surprise in the NBA? I'll answer mine first. I really thought Oklahoma City was going to be much better than this. I thought it was going to be 1, 2, 3 Warriors, Rockets, Oklahoma City. And now it's like 1, 2, 3, 7 other teams, and then Oklahoma City. It's really been surprising with Melo and Paul George and Russell Westbrook. How is this happening? Mr. Rose?
I'm disappointed in you, David.
That's not new.
Hit the brakes. Oklahoma City struggling is not surprising. It's disappointing.
What?
You're using that wrong.
What? Jalen.
He didn't say what's the most disappointing thing.
No. Let me take people behind the curtain here, because Jalen is in a remote studio on a monitor, and the whole time I was speaking about Oklahoma City, he's shaking his head. He puts his hands in his head, and he's so disappointed about something. And I'm like, wow, this is such like a tepid take. What could he be so upset about? And then he goes, "I'm disappointed in you." Right? Disappointed in you. Like that's what someone says, like when they're not mad at you, they just want to make you hurt more. Like, I'm disappointed in you. And then you tell me that Oklahoma City being bad is not surprising, it's disappointing. And then you have the gall to say, you're using that wrong. Explain yourself, Mr. Rose, Professor Rose, English professor, Mr. Rose. Explain how I'm using that wrong, okay?
You're using it out of context.
What?
When they ask you about a surprise, that should be something like my answers. Kyrie saying that he wanted to leave LeBron and he's flourishing. They are number 1 seed without Gordon Hayward. Or the Houston Rockets being undefeated when Chris Paul plays. Those are surprises. LeBron James having a career year in his 15th season.
Jalen, of all people in the world, you're going to come on this show on Wax and tell me I'm using a word wrong? Do you know how many times I let that slide? Do you even know what quantify means? You say quantify every time you mean qualify. You say quantifier. You say it all the time. And I just let it roll. Because you know what? That's just part of the sauce of being with Jalen. You know what I mean? He's a great basketball player, but maybe he didn't spend, all the time that I have spent just mastering the English language. He's mastering the game of basketball. And then for you to come up and be like, you're using that wrong. And I just wish the people listening to this right now could see Jalen's face. Like it was like you watching me like steal something from my own children or something. It was just, you were so just upset with my behavior because I said the Oklahoma City struggling was surprising instead of disappointing. And then you went as far in one of yours, you said, no, we should, surprising is like my examples. And then you say Houston doing well. So how can Houston doing well be a surprise, but Oklahoma City not doing well not be a surprise?
I didn't say Houston doing well was a surprise.
Oh, my God.
I said that they were undefeated when Chris Paul plays.
You know what? David and Canton had me so excited. He was his birthday. He got a snow day on his birthday. He's an educator. He got a surprise party. And then you know what you did? You just went negative. You went Negatron on me. You're the Negatron Don.
Okay. Here's a perfect example. He used a great, by the way, terrific context of taking surprise party, as you mentioned, and turn it to a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use that premise in my example as I ask this back to you.
Do you know what a premise is?
Of course I do.
Mm-hmm.
When a surprise happens, that means you didn't know about it. You didn't expect it. You didn't anticipate it. And then boom.
Exactly. I did not know that Oklahoma City was going to... Jalen, don't do this to yourself.
You
know what? Don't do this to yourself. No. Stop. Just stop.
So do you think he would call it a surprise if it was a bad thing?
Do you know what's surprising? That you honestly don't understand the word surprise. That's the most surprising thing about this conversation. You think that surprises are only positive? You don't think a negative thing could be a surprise?
In this case, I think they were asking you about a surprise and hope that you give answers like I gave. Nobody felt like Chris Paul and the Houston Rockets would be undefeated when he performs. Nobody thought after the horrific injury to Gordon Hayward that Kyrie would lift the Boston Celtics to a number 1 seed. That LeBron James would average as many rebounds and assists that he's ever averaged, shooting 40% from 3. That's a surprise.
The most surprising thing about this is that you tried to correct me with my use of a word in the English language. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. Jalen, that's it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow, always giving you a dope pod to step to. What day is it tomorrow, Jalen?
Hey, ladies!
It is Woman Crush Wednesday tomorrow, so don't forget to call in and leave your voicemails. Also, we got a voicemail on yesterday's show that just spawned a lot of creativity amongst the staff. And we really love having a tandem call. So on Woman Crush Wednesday or any day, you and your significant other call in, tell us what you've been arguing about. We will be your Judge Judy. Judge Jalen and Jacoby will solve all of your problems, all of your disagreements once and for all right here on this program. Don't forget to call 985-80-JALEN. Ladies, leave messages for Woman Crush Wednesday. Couples, leave us messages. Fellas, just leave messages. We always get to you. Thank you so much for making us part of your day. We love our podcast listeners. We'll be back tomorrow giving you another dope pod to start with.